right, let me just ask you a question. How the fuck did Fat Boy Gabe Newell actually get away with it? How did he get away with removing an old game after he makes a sequel to it? Like, how is that accepted? That is fucking profoundly immoral, unethical, pathetic, like too ridiculous to believe almost that Valve is doing this shit. You know, it's like Blizzard. Okay, Overwatch 2 removes Overwatch 1. I can understand, you know, like that piece of shit company doing that, but you know, Valve used to have a reputation of having like some integrity, and I guess they're just kind of shitting on that. Like, I just don't. How do you do that? You remove the old game. Can you imagine when Counter Strike Source came out? If they fucking removed 1.6, like, let me tell you something. You know, maybe you're not old enough to remember. A lot of people didn't like Counter Strike Source. A lot of people thought that game was shit, and they stuck with 1.6, right? And you know, including a lot of like competitive players, a lot of like the esports scene stayed in 1.6. You know, it's like, so it split the player base. So you know, but that's completely fine. Like, if people want to play the old game, that's their fucking right and that's their choice. And like to imagine that I can pay money for a video game, and yeah, I pay money for CS:GO. I want my $15 in my fucking Steam account to come back because I paid money for a video game and it is now removed and it is gone forever and it's not playable, and it's been replaced by this. And you know, okay, now you might be like saying, you might be giving me like a justification of it, and there's a few possible justifications here of how you can remove the old game and replace it with the new game. And number one is, like, the game isn't that different. And yes, it's that is true. CS2 is not that different from CS:GO, but at the same time, like, that's not a good thing. They really spent 10 years making a game that isn't even that different. Like, it doesn't change that much, honestly. And that's ridiculous. And yeah, we could use that as a justification, but it's kind of pathetic to think about. Like, that's not a good look for Valve. I mean, yeah, it's true. Like, Counter-Strike gameplay has not evolved in a meaningful way in like the last 2 decades. I mean, is that a good thing? Because I think that's kind of fucking sad when you think about it. But, you know, yeah, it is just a different shade. It's a different, like, optic to it, but it's the same Counter-Strike you've been playing on the same Dust 2 with the same op/AK for 2 decades. Again, I don't think that's a good thing, but still, that doesn't justify removing the old game. Like, even if Counter-Strike Source and Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Counter-Strike 1.6 and Counter-Strike 2, even if they're all the same game, there's some small differences that make people prefer one game to the other. And there's people that might like to play CS:GO over CS2. So again, that's not really a justification. That doesn't make any sense. Justification number 2 could be that, I don't know, Valve is like afraid to split the player base. You know, like 1.6 in Source, you know, that split the player base, but you know, to that I say it's good that it split the player base. People were given options and they chose the option that they preferred. That is how things should work. That makes perfect sense. That is reasonable, and that is perfectly fine. But I guess, like, yeah, Valve is such a pathetic, insecure company that they're like afraid to make a video game. That not only are they afraid to make sequels that are like classic games, they're afraid of competing with their own games because they know they're not good enough to actually make good games anymore to compete with their old games. Again, that is really fucking sad. That's not a good look for Valve. That just showcases the decline, if that's the case, if that's the justification you want to use. And it really is. Again, I have to say it again. It's fucking immoral, it's unethical, and it's fucked up that you're removing options from your fucking players. That shouldn't be a thing. Justification number 3 is the lamest and the gayest justification, but it's probably the most important one. They removed the old game and replaced it with CS2 because of skins. Because they didn't want your skins to get lost in the confusion. Because if they make 2 separate games, you know, then they can't really import your CS:GO skins to the CS2, excuse me. They can't import your precious little pixels that you wasted your dad's credit card money on, right? Because that's really what the game's about, because that is the primary profit model for Counter Strike now. You're not selling the game, so you got to sell something. So you sell fucking hats and gloves and knives and fucking AK skins to turbo virgins and 12-year-olds, right? So you can make money from these idiots, and it's so much better. It's so much easier than actually selling the game. It's just beautiful. It's perfect because there's so many fucking limp dick imbeciles out there that are actually willing to pay their own money or their dad's money, right, on these shitty useless pixels that the game isn't. It doesn't even matter anymore, right? I mean, yeah, dude. Who cares if they remove a fucking video game from the library that you have that you paid money for? You keep the skins, right? That's the most important part. Fuck video games. Video games are fucking worthless garbage. Skins? Oh, now that's some heavy shit. You don't want to lose that. So I'm sure there's a lot of fucking dumbasses out there who really like eat this shit up. It's like they don't care because to them skins are the game. Like, let's not forget, there's an entire fucking economy with skins and crates and keys, and there's a lot of turbo virgins out there who have made fortunes scamming 12-year-olds for fucking cosmetics and keys and shit, right? I mean, there's even success stories who bought McLarens after scamming enough 12-year-olds. But then the guilt hit them, and then they got trade banned, and then they decided, okay, you know what? My existence is a miserable joke, and I'm going to end it. And I say, I salute that decision, you pathetic fuck. But it's just it's sad that the last action you committed on Earth is still like another scam, another fucking swindle, and you had to like rob, you had to scam the last 12-year-old. But this time it wasn't for a hat or a key or a knife. This time it was for their life. So, you know, once a scammer, always a scammer. But yeah, I don't know if you can tell. I don't really give a shit. I don't really hold traders or skin people. People who actually value these garbage ass pixels. I don't consider them to be worthy of too much respect. Okay, can you blame me? I don't know. See, back in my day, son, you went into Game Banana, you went into FBS Banana or whatever. You got your skin from there, right? You download the skin, you put it into a folder, and there you go. You have the skin. You didn't need to open crates. You didn't need to pay fucking $1,200. You didn't need to get scammed. You just downloaded a file and you had a skin. And now people are like willing to pay thousands, hundreds, thousands of dollars for this shit. It's just like I don't get it. How did we get to this point where people are actually ready and willing to separate their money or their dad's money from themselves to get this shit? It's just like it doesn't make my brain cannot compute this. It started off as a cute little funny joke with Manconomy, with like hats, and then it just spiraled out of control. And we've gotten to the point in the video game industry where video games are second to the cosmetics that are sold in the video game. That is so fucking sad to me. So yeah, that's the free justifications. Number one is the game's not that different, so it's okay, which is a shit justification. Number two is we don't want to split the player base. Again, that's a shit justification, and it's like people should be able to play whatever game they want. And then number three, skins, which is just sad. Which one it is, I'm sure it's probably a combination of all of those. In TF2, we have a little joke, right? When the game is like breaking or it's fucking up and it's not working as intended and stupid things are happening on the screen, we open up the chest of old Gabe Newell quotes, and we get a Gabe Newell quote that says, "After 9 years in development, hopefully it will have been worth the wait." And we make a joke at the end where we say, instead of the wait as in WAIT, we say wait as in Gabe Newell is a fat bastard, and I think that's really funny. But you can apply this to Counter Strike too now, right? Because they've developed this game for what 10 years now since CS:GO, and it took 10 years. And let me remind you, when the trailer came out for CS2, they actually gave you the release date of when the game's coming out, right? And it said summer of 2023, and I was like, oh, okay, I mean, this looks like a bunch of fake hype bullshit, and it's not actually going to be that different from CS:GO, and I'm not really that excited, but whatever, I'll play CS2 over the summer. That sounds good. And then they couldn't they gave you this vague release date, summer 2023. After 10 years they gave you this release date, and they couldn't even fucking stick to it. Like, I was waiting for it. I was like, okay, it's July now, it's still not coming out. Okay, it's August, it's late August. It released in like early September. But what I want to say is 10 years to develop this game, and they couldn't even get the release date, their vague ass generous release date of summer 2023, right? And they released it in early fall, which is, that's incredible. That's amazing. And then you would think, okay, they've been developing it for so long, and they've been so serious, and they've been so adamant that they couldn't get it out in the summer after 10 years. So they must have like made the best game ever. Source 2 is going to be insane. It's going to be incredible. It's going to revolutionize gaming just like Source 1 did, right? And then you get to it. You play CS2 and you realize, wow, it's the exact same game, but the lighting is slightly different. That's really how I feel about it. I mean, like, nothing's changed. Have they like fixed the hitboxes? No. Have they like fixed cheaters? Have they fixed the cheating problem? Is there anti-cheat amazing? No. Have they changed the Counter-Strike gameplay in a significant way? No. So what the fuck were you doing for 10 years? It's just like, I don't get it. You had to delay the game for what? And people are getting to it. People are saying, like, in the TF2 community, you have kids speculating, oh, is Source 2 even going to save TF2? Because, people are just like imagining. We've been imagining for years. We've been waiting for this fucking panacea, for this magical cure to all of TF2's problems, because the game is so fucked. And we're thinking, okay, when the game gets ported to Source 2, every problem that this game has is going to be fixed. And now I think I can confidently say, no, it is not going to be fixed, because Source 2 is fucking nothing. Nothing impressive is in this fucking engine. Okay? CS2 is the same game. The lighting is different. Community servers don't work. Surf doesn't work, right? And I don't get it. Nothing changed, except when I rage quit the game, instead of typing exit, I have to type quit. It's like back in the Gold Source days, you had to type quit. So like they reverted to that. That's it. Like, is the movement awesome? No. Like, you can't even bunny hop anymore. Like, Z block is still present. Bunny hopping's not a thing. So there's no skill-based movement in Counter-Strike outside of like strafing a corner like at a significant speed. That's the most skill-based movement in Counter-Strike for the last 10 years. Same shit here. Nothing changed. Ballistics, same shit here. Nothing changed. The same exact ballistics in CS:GO. And I don't know. Oh, the op has a tracer, by the way. That's a very keen addition. That's a very necessary addition. Like, nothing changed. So, all I have to say is that, like, please, this is a plea. I beg you, Valve. If you really want to port TF2 to Source 2, make it a separate fucking game. Have the balls to make TF free and make it on Source 2. Don't just like try to fucking port TF2 to Source 2 and then remove the old version like you did with Counter-Strike. You fucking pieces of shit. You do not have the fucking right to do that shit. You will ruin the game probably. You will probably fuck up the art style even more with the lighting changes. You will make the game run worse. Oh yeah, Counter-Strike 2 runs way worse than CS:GO, by the way. I should mention that. And you'll probably like ruin rocket jumping or some shit with it. So please, just make a separate game. Don't do this fucking gay shit again where you remove the old game when you make a sequel. Have the balls. Don't make it a fucking port that removes the Source 1 version, because that is fucked up, man. You are going to destroy everything, you know? And I don't know, maybe that some people have been speculating that Valve has been trying to destroy TF2 for the last fucking decade. So who knows? Maybe that's their fucking plan, to kill TF2, port it to Source 2, and kill the Source 1 version of it. But Jesus Christ, man, what a joke. Look at this photograph. Look at it and take a good look. And, I don't think I even need to explain this, right? Just one look and you immediately understand, right? Like, the WoW we have today is not the same WoW that we had 10 years ago or at its founding. In 1998, they already had Half-Life coming out. You had Team Fortress, Half-Life DLC, Counter-Strike, and then year after year, you just had fucking good game after good game. They always had something coming out. Just a constant flow of games. And then you have the 2010s, and it's just like 2013. Okay, that's the last time we like Dota. Here's have Dota 2. Okay, bye-bye. And it took them fucking 5 years to make another game after Dota, and it's fucking Artifact. It's Artifact. Can you believe it, right? And it's just like, like in the 2000s, they were just coming out with shit every year, and a lot of good shit was coming out. And then in the 2010s, after 2013, they come out with nothing. And when they do come out with something, it's garbage, right? Artifact is fucking ass, and is like exact like the moment Artifact was announced is when I knew, okay, WoW is fucking done. Like they're just completely off the rocker. I don't know what they're doing. They abandoned TF2, right? CS fanboys, by the way, were already being like crying about being abandoned when Artifact was announced. Because Dota was the money child back then. But, they've abandoned all of their good games. They haven't made a sequel to anything. And any like good games. They're not making games. They're not taking care of their old games. And then they come out with Artifact. Just, it's like, if you couldn't tell at that point that this isn't the same company, you need to get some fucking glasses, right? And speaking of Artifact, the one game they released after fucking 2013, they've already abandoned it, right? And like the two people out there who like Artifact for some reason, although I don't understand why, I have to sympathize. Like they already have grievances where Valve has already abandoned them so fast. As a TF2 player, I know all about that. But Valve screwed over the Artifact fan base by canceling the Artifact 2.0 beta without even allowing users to invite friends like they said they would in January 2021. I just had to say it. Somebody's got to say it, right? And since Artifact, all they've come out with besides CS2 is a Half-Life VR tech demo, which although I've heard it's good, it's still a VR tech demo. It's not a PC game, and it's not an actual sequel. It was funny to make jokes about Gabe Newell being afraid of the number 3 like 10 years ago. And I don't know, like 12 years ago maybe. 10 years ago it was already getting a little stale. But like now it's not even a joke, it's like pathetic. Like he actually has some sort of like ancient Chinese like feng shui type phobia associated with the number 3. Like I honestly think like that's true.
Is an unlucky number because the word sounds the same as death in Chinese.
Like seriously. I mean, the guy's not coming out with any sequel. He's not coming out with Half-Life 3, not Left 4 Dead 3, not TF 3, nothing. He's terrified. So I guess the most important takeaway from all of this is that you have to understand that the old Valve and the Valve that exists today, they're not the same company. The Valve that you grew up with and that made all those awesome games, all the people that have worked on those great games have either quit or they've just resigned themselves to just saying, fuck it, I'm here for the paycheck and I'm done. No matter what you do, the old man who's in charge doesn't actually want to make games anymore. Well, the explanation to that is very simple. Making games is a risk. Even if you're as a company as reputable as Valve, you're not sure if your game is going to pay off, and even if it does pay off, maybe it's not enough. Maybe I want more money. Well, selling pixels to 12-year-olds is not a risk. Selling keys and crates and hats and fucking knives and gloves, That's not a risk. That's just free gold, baby. So why the fuck would I worry about making games? Valve's not a game making company. It sells cosmetics, and after that, I guess the most important revenue stream is Steam. It's a fucking Valve's a middleman market monopoly that just gets paid for nothing, right? They've mastered that. With skins, you don't even have to make the skins. With Steam, you get paid for other people's games. So why would you even bother making your own games? You're gonna get paid either way. You know, that's it. That's all there is to it. It's funny to think about. maybe I got a little schizo conspiracy theory over here, but 2013 is the year that Valve stops making games. And what else happens in this year? What else happens around 2013? Well, number one is they launched the Steam Community Market, right? And they start making a shit ton of money just from the middleman fee from there, right? Number two is they add skins to CS:GO. Could you believe it? Could you believe it? Wow, nah, pure coincidence. No way, no way.
Let's get some pussy tonight.